Hey everybody, I have finished another book. So the book I finished over the weekend was Uncle Sam's Plantation: How Big Government Enslaves America's Poor and What We Can Do About It by Star Parker. Um, I think I'd heard of Star Parker. Um, like her name is like kind of vaguely familiar to me. I don't remember why I ended up putting this book on my reading list, to be honest. But I'm glad I did. It was really good, and it takes a different perspective on what's going on. It was written in 2010, so it's like kind of just when a lot of this stuff was like really starting to hit the mainstream. A lot of like the woke kind of thing. But I don't think it was called that back then. Um, and but like her book is actually very, um, very prescient. She kind of like says some stuff where you're like, where she's seeing the trend of where things are going, and it's not until in the last like maybe 5 years that it really like took off, and a lot of like normal people were seeing what was going on. And so it's just really interesting. But her main issue in this book, and like what she talks about the most and what the book is really about, is welfare, entitlement programs, social safety nets that the government has set up, ostensibly to help poor people. But her argument is that it actually harms most poor people. And keeps them, basically dependent on the government for everything that they have. And they feel like they can't get by without these government subsidies. And she comes from, and she's not just one of these people that, is saying this from on high. She lived it. She grew up poor, and she was on welfare for a long time. She talks about the 4 abortions that she had, because she would just keep getting pregnant, and then she kind of basically used it as birth control, essentially. And so her, she was a drug addict, and she lived the life, and she got herself out of it through Christianity, through the church, and then founded the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, that is short to CURE, to help people get on their feet, to help people get off of government welfare, to help people find their own way in the world as opposed to relying on the government. And I liked this book because she tells her own story in it. She gives the statistics. I wish she cited them. She doesn't cite them, unfortunately. However, I know that like they're statistics that that I've seen the original data for, so I know that they're true statistics. I just wish she had cited them in the book because it gives a little bit more credence. So I wish that she'd done that, but she didn't. But the statistics are factual. And so she gives the statistics, but then she backs them up with stories from, her own past, as well as stories of the people that she helps through her foundation. And so it's really interesting. So she starts out with talking about what poverty is, who the poor are, what her story was, how she lived her life and how she got out of it. And then she goes into depth about several different entitlement programs, how they function, how they work, how people take advantage of them. And it's a different, I didn't know that much about it. And, obviously I knew that there, is welfare, and I didn't know the different kinds of welfare that there are necessarily. I know some of them, like WIC and that kind of thing, but, I didn't know all of the different ways people can get basically everything from the government if they know how to game the system. So it was interesting. And then she goes on to talk about the family and statistics regarding that and how these welfare programs undermine family, and that, you know, having two parents in a household, and this is something that I have heard and read about, you know, that the greatest predictor of success is having two parents in the household, regardless of any other metric, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of race, regardless of any of that stuff. If you have two parents in the household, you are going to, you know, chances are you're going to be more successful in life than someone who does not. And how these government programs encourage people to remain outside of the family, so the family unit, and that is the biggest detriment to them. One of the biggest. So anyway, like, so it's a different take, and I like reading these books from people who have actually been through what they're talking about, as opposed to someone who's sitting back and saying, oh, you've got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps, because that's always the argument. Like, oh, not everybody can do that. And I like reading books from people who lived the life that people are saying, you know, we need to help these people even more. And she got out of it on her own, and how much better it is to have done that as opposed to continue to live off of the government. And, you know, where it could lead, and where it has been leading for, you know, another 13 years since she's written this book. So I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. It's a different take on things that, you know, I didn't necessarily know as much about. So check it out. That's Uncle Sam's Plantation by Star Parker. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, share it, and subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow with an all new video.